Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritually Fucked podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Mulholland. Let's get into the show. The podcast where I roast my own astrology chart. Hello, everyone. What is up? Are you excited to get to know me and get to hate me? I have been wanting to do this because A, I'm a new astrologer, and B, my astrology chart explains a lot. And the reason I became an astrologer or got really into astrology was during my Saturn return. Don't you love when stories start off like that? And I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And so I returned to my chart, for it reminded me to return to myself. And astrology is an amazing tool because you can see where your gifts are, where your not gifts are, and where, your shadows are, I guess you could say. And when I say shadows, maybe I just mean the parts that you haven't integrated yet. It's a really helpful tool to just guide you back home to yourself. It really is a blueprint of the sky the day you were born. And when you were born, coming out of your mother's womb as a little baby, the planets were in a certain alignment and they imprinted on your body or on your soul, whatever the fuck you want to look at it. As above, as below, as your body, as your soul. So when you take advantage of the energies that are imprinted on your vessel, your soul, then you can kind of get away with some things. And the reason I want to call this a roast is because it's funny, first of all, and my chart just explains a lot. And also, if you have the same placements as me, maybe you can learn something. And I really want this to be a demonstration of how clear and accurate astrology can be. And if you're on YouTube, hello, I'm looking extremely feral today, but that's how I like it. So anyways, we're going to get into it. And where do I even start? So this is how I read and do readings. They're fucking amazing, by the way. If you haven't booked one yet with me, you should get on that, and maybe this will inspire you too. But that's not the point. The point is to roast Taylor Mulholland. And I have a chart in front of me, and it's my chart. And I'll give you the gist. Taurus sun, Aries moon, Cancer rising. And it's really interesting because my whole life I was like, Aries moon, boo, that's a dumb one. Like, what? And now I look at it, I'm like, that's almost my favorite part of my chart. There's a lot of things about this chart that are my favorite, but I mean, I'm my favorite. So anything that's on this chart is my favorite, but I always was like, Aries moon? Like, I'm not an Aries. Bitch, I am so fucking Aries, and we'll get into what other planets are in there and what house it's in, but it really explains a lot. And another interesting fact is me, and I can name 4 people that are my best friends that also have Cancer rising. And I think it's so interesting because your rising sign is always in your first house. And so if all my friends have Cancer rising, they have the same placements, the same zodiac signs in the same houses, which is so interesting how that just happened like that. Cancer risings, how my teacher explains it is we're the silly billies of the zodiac. And I don't know where that comes from, but it makes sense for me because I am silly. But your rising sign is what you're rising into this life. And for it being in the sign of Cancer, Cancer, the roasting sides of Cancer is they're super sensitive and kind of all over the place and just cry whenever. That explains me. I'm the moodiest one. And I actually read an article last night that said that Cancer rising are the moodiest of the zodiac. And I said, yep, that sounds about right. Because we're rising into this sensitive being of ourselves. And also Cancers are incredibly poetic, artistic, like they're the water signs, and they're also related to the moon. So this is a lunar sign. The planet is literally the moon, and so I am more of a sun child because I have a solar chart, and you can tell that you have a solar chart by where your sun is in your chart, and I have a solar chart. And so I fucking love the moon. Obviously, I'm like a witch. Okay, I have Cancer rising, but do moons make me crazy? Do the moon, whatever sign the moon's in or whatever the fuck, does it make me a little crazy? Maybe it does. But yeah, we're super sensitive. We're artistic, kind of all over the place. I'm a really clean girl. Like, I am clean, but sometimes I am messy. And I believe this is the Cancer rising. It's also 12th house Gemini. Just my mind is running 1,000 miles per hour. And something that's coming through now because, again, when I do these readings, I'm channeling a lot of the time. Like, I'm looking at your fucking chart, but things start to drop in and come through. And what's coming through right now is that, I mean, it's like a fucking water pipe, like running water. You need structure for that water to run fluidly. And if you don't have that structure, you're just going to be all over the place. And structure is something I've lacked my whole life. And so my environment becomes messy when I don't have structure and shit starts getting all over the place. And it's probably why it took me so long to produce a poetry book because I have all these poems, 32,000, no, 3,200, 3,000. Now that's how many I have. Just fucking all over the place. And there's no structure for them. It's just like an ocean, a poetic ocean that could be produced if I had a little bit more Virgo in my chart, but there are no planets in Virgo. So, yeah, Cancer rising. We're silly billies and we're sensitive and moody and we're also very poetic and artistic and I love us. So there's that. Second house this is originally the Taurus house and this is the house where you make your money and it is in the sign of Leo. And it makes a lot of fucking sense because how I want to make my money is through beauty and expression and me being in the spotlight. And Leo is all about the fucking spotlight. And it's in the house of how I make money and how I invest. So obviously I'm going to invest in things gluttonously or in vanity. This is the vanity house. Or Leo is like the vanity sign, I guess you could say. Again, I'm roasting them. Like, I know there's other qualities of Leo, but they like vanity. I fucking love vanity. I'm a Taurus. Taurus love vanity too. And this is the house of money and investment. So I'm going to invest in vanity. And I'm also going to make my money by being a model. Or at least want to. Not, my full career is not off of modeling, but how I make money, I want to be seen. I want to be witnessed. I want to be in the spotlight. That's how I make money. That's how I thrive. And that's why I'm kind of a theater kid. I like being in the spotlight. And I also like investing in things that release that in me. I love going to dance classes. I love beautiful things. So yeah, you could say I'm fucking vain. I guess that's the roast of this house, but also like pay me money to be pretty and I will be your best friend or employer for the rest of your life. And that's what's happened. A lot of my money's been made from my beauty. And that's Leo, second house. Third house is Virgo. So this is the house of siblings. And it being in the sign of Virgo, my siblings, we're all so fucking stubborn. And maybe that's why this is the placement. There's a lot of tension, I feel like, between me and my family members, me and my siblings, and one screw loose can fucking blow a casket. Like, and I believe that's because we're all very, very stubborn. And so Virgo is very stubborn in this way. They're very grounded. And so maybe when things aren't grounded, we can get those shadow sides of Virgo, which is the stubbornness, not wanting to change. I mean, my siblings are Virgo and Taurus, so we're all grounded as fuck in our own ways. And let's see what else comes through with this. Yeah, like this idea, and I really relate to this idea of a perfect looking family, or I have this vision of what perfect is. You know, Virgos are the perfectionist, and when family standards don't meet that, maybe we get so hard on ourselves and we avoid building our own families because we have such high expectations for our sibling family, and that didn't relate the same way as our minds wanted them to, because we had this perfection standard on it, and perfectionism can be a fucking downfall. And so that's the downfall of my life. Me wanting a perfect family, me and my brothers all being friends, and because I had that vision and that vision didn't meet, it's the worst thing in the world and it goes up in flames. And so that's probably the roast of Virgo third house. Yeah, my family's it's a fun show. Let's just say that it's a fun show to watch. That's all I'm gonna say. The next house, fourth house, is originally the Cancer house. So this is the mother house. And so our ancestral programs and patterns live in this house. And mine is in the sign of Libra, which to me is like, okay, I am here to create balance and structure within my lineage. I am the lineage breaker. It makes sense. And what else is also there? Chiron. What is Chiron? Chiron is the wounded healer. So when I look at this, I say, oh shit, you're going to have some mommy problems. You're going to have some feminine lineage wound problems. And your North Node is there. So this is actually where you're going to have your gifts, because Chiron is the wounded healer. But notice the first word, wounded, and the second word is healer. So you're going to be healing a lot of wounds in the house of mother, ancestral lineage. And it's going to you're going to create balance within your whole family, but it's going to come through probably harsh wounds. But your North Node's there, so that's where your medicine is. And you just got to keep reaching for balance. And what does balance look like? Well, that's going to be different for everyone. And when you're out of balance, that's probably when the wounds are going to start coming up a little bit more intense. So when they do come up, I would say astrology suggests to find balance within that. Or else you're going to get fucking lost in the sauce, people. Or Taylor, you're going to get lost in the sauce of this quote unquote wounds. But you're going to heal from them, and then it's going to be your medicine. And so yeah, those are opposing my moon and my Saturn. And so those are just a direct like, hey, bitch. So there's a lot of potency here, a lot coming up around age 29, 27 to 32, I would say, that are going to expose these wounds, and you're going to make them your medicine, or they're going to be your downfall. And for me, I'm like, I'm going to make that shit my medicine, and maybe I'll monetize that. That's Leo, second house. How can I monetize my medicine? You go to the next sign, which is the fifth house of Scorpio, and that is originally the house of Leo. And Leo is all about the theta. It's all about expression, and it's in this house of Scorpio. What does that say? It says that I am meant to be a theater bitch. Because, Scorpio is the artist. It's death and rebirth. This is an annoying house. Let's just say that. Because fifth house, Leo energy, I want to be seen, theater, expression, sex. Like, let's do all that. And then Scorpio is death and rebirth and underworld. And I'm going to be spicy, but I'm going to be mysterious. And so that's who I am. And this makes sense that I was a fucking poet. There's a lot of things in my chart that tell me I'm a poet. But this chart is like, okay, you're probably going to have a death and rebirth when it comes to theater or being seen or expression. And how is that going to go for you, Taylor? How has that gone for you, Taylor? It's still going, okay? I'm still having constant death and rebirths, but this is like a big artist house. Like, hey, expression, it's in the sign of Scorpio, and Scorpio is it's a water sign. It's artistic, but also all over the place, and also very moody. And so your emotions can get too attached to how you are expressing yourself, and emotions can lead you and be your downfall if it's not alchemized properly. And Scorpio, what's coming through right now, it's like Scorpio's like make it or break it, death and rebirth. It's how are you using the theater of life as art? And are you using it as that? And if not, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And a lot of pressure can be put on that. And, you know, you can't put pressure on your passions. That's what I did last year when I released my poetry book, and it ended up being my pitfall because I was like trying to fucking make a living off of selling poetry books. Like, that's trying to make a living off selling your heart. No, that's, I would say, was a death. And the rebirth that came out of it, because I chose to alchemize, was a whole lot of shit. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. It's not this podcast. I'm roasting my astrology chart. And so this is just the house of, okay, you're a theater bitch, but you can be a little all over the place and really, really hard on yourself. Next, sixth house, in the sign of Sagittarius. And it's Pluto at 1 degree, which means this is like a new thing, and this is the first time you're experiencing this in your life. And it's opposing my fucking Sun, Mercury, and Mars. So, a lot of death and rebirth in the Sun, Mercury, and Mars house, because they're opposing. And when they're opposing, it's like a fucking rocket ship being shot over there. And so it being in the sign of Sagittarius, Sag, I like to look at as they're walking off the boat with fucking bow and arrows, and their hearts are on the end of those bow and arrows, and they just want to shoot off and go party, and they have glitter from the last party on them. And Pluto being there in the sixth house, which is routines, your body. This makes sense that I had a fucking death and rebirth in my fucking body, which, hello, if you haven't read my other episodes or listened to them, I had a death and rebirth of my ovaries. So that explains a lot. And Sagittarius is like spicy, spicy. We love a Sagittarius. They love to party, but that party, when it is accompanied with death and rebirth, woof, for the first time in this life too. And it being at 1st degree, it's like, this is the first time I've probably had a huge death and rebirth in my life. And that's why it hit me so hard. And I was so confused the whole time, because Sagittarius has that mind of going a million miles per hour. And so wanting an answer, where's this arrow being shot? I need to get a fucking answer. But, oh, I don't know, because I am thinking too much with my head. I just need to sit and breathe and let it alchemize. And yeah, just this is a very potent house. Pluto gets a bad rap because of the death and rebirth aspect, but think about the rebirth. Hello. And it's opposing my Sun, so, and my Mercury and my Mars, so I meant to share it. And that's what I'm doing. Are you listening, people? My heart is on my sleeve. My heart is on the end of the bow and arrow, and I'm trying to shoot it right at you and share my medicine. That came through death and rebirth. Do you want to hear it? Do you want to listen? Because that would make my heart happy. That would make my Sun, Mercury, and Mars really happy. Okay, next, 7th house. Originally the house of marriage, relationships, and marriage and relationships, one-on-one personal relationships. So 3rd house, which was Virgo, was more siblings, internal relationships. This one's 7th house is more like one-on-one, like who are you dating? And it's in the sign of Cap. We love a Capricorn. They're very organized, but they're stubborn. And my fucking Jupiter is there. And so, and my Neptune is there. Neptune's a very mysterious planet. Neptune is like, shit's gonna hit the fan and you're not gonna know what the fuck to do or when it's gonna do. And it being in the house of relationships with Capricorn, what's coming through now is the idea that I probably had a lot of ideas and visions of what my relationship lives are gonna look like, and a lot of twisty turnies came, like cheating, or not saying that happened, but that's what astrology is suggesting, or just a lot of unknowns in the relationship sector. And Jupiter being there, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, so shit's gonna blow up. Jupiter expands things, and so shit is gonna explode, but it's also the planet of abundance and prosper. So I can look at this and say, well, this is a roast, so I'm roasting me, but I can look at this and say, okay, she's really fucking good at relationships. Or some shit exploded in her relationship life and it was really in the unknowns and probably threw her off track. And I really haven't had a lot of relationships, you guys. Just with myself. Me and my right hand. But Neptune is in the 27th degree, which means it's at the end of a cycle. So this cheating thing is probably going to end in this life if you alchemize it, if you learn the lessons, if you study and go to work like a Capricorn, because Capricorns work. So this is like relationships are work. And maybe if you approach them too much as work, it might explode. Or if you nourish them and approach them as work, they could be really abundant and fruitful. So again, astrology is all about balance and weighing out the scales. And so this is just a suggestion that these planets are portraying that you probably had a lot of unknowns in your relationship life that could have been explosive. How are you using that and flipping it around into abundance? How are you putting your relationships to work and prospering from them and becoming fruitful? Okay, do we like that, Taylor? How are you becoming fruitful in your relationships and how are they not exploding? Jupiter is an abundant fucking planet, and so I would also look at this and say you could probably make money. No, I would look at this and say I want a relationship and I want a daddy who will take care of me and pay for my things. That's Capricorn 7th house Jupiter. Okay? That's what I'm roasting myself at. And it's funny because it's like this is like a daddy house. Like I want a daddy. Or do I have to become my own daddy to attract a daddy, or can I just like get a daddy to take care of me? Okay? There. That could be where the dad jokes come from. And this is also opposing my rising. So let's see, what does that mean? I'm rising into the life of finding a daddy. Maybe that's it. Next, okay, 8th house in Aquarius. This is funny. So Aquarius are the weirdo aliens of the house. And what planet is there? It's Uranus. Uranus and Neptune, I kind of just like, I don't know, I kind of piece them together. Uranus is too like a weirdo planet, and it's in Aquarius. So I'm a fucking weirdo, and it's in the 8th house, which is originally the Scorpio house, which is originally the house of death and rebirth. So I'm probably going to have a death and rebirth and being a fucking weirdo. Okay? I'm going to be really out there. And that's who I am. I'm kind of really out there, and the 8th house is guru, like, think of Scorpio, like, it's more like underworld. Take out the guru. I take it back. It's more like underworld, like sex, magic, darkness. And it's an Aquarius, like, you fucking weirdo. You're probably gonna be into some weird shit. Like, that's what it's suggesting. Like, you're gonna be a little alien and into some weird kinky shit. And I'm not saying I'm not into that, but that's what it's implying. That's what astrology is suggesting. And Uranus being in there, it's going to be out there. I'm going to be out there and I'm probably going to be ashamed of it. And how am I going to not be ashamed of it? How am I going to have this Scorpio life of death and rebirth? And it's in Aquarius. Those fucking weirdos. Aquarius are the weirdest people. And I love them deeply. And having it in the 8th house, like, you're weird and kinky. And what the fuck? Like, keep that private. Okay, 9th house. Next, 9th house is the guru teacher house. And it's in the sign of Pisces. And my fucking midheaven's there. So, of course, I'm into spirituality. I am a spiritual being. This is your destiny piece, is your midheaven. In the sign of Pisces, in the 9th house, like the 9th house is spiritual guru teacher house. So, it could be suggesting that I'm attracted to those teachers and philosophies, or B, that I'm meant to fucking teach and preach it. And to me, it's like, what do I do? This is the spiritually fucked podcast. Like, I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and I'm gonna fucking talk about it and make it my destiny. And again, the downfall is, being too spiritual. And maybe that's why I make fun of spirituality, is because I know it's a part of me. I know it's my destiny, and I'm gonna fucking make fun of it because it's so embedded in my fucking system that I know I can joke about it and it be okay. So, and maybe this is making sense now because people who take spirituality so serious, maybe they don't take themselves seriously, or they don't know it enough to joke about it. For me, I look at this and I'm like, holy fuck, I am spiritual. I can make fun of it and it wouldn't affect me. So there's a new piece unlocked. And this is the channeling piece that comes in. Is I didn't take any notes for this. I'm just looking at my fucking chart, and what's coming through is coming through. And this makes a lot of sense. And I'm kind of having a little revelation right now that's like, oh, I am spiritual. I just know it. And I can make a joke about it and make it spiritually fucked because it's just a part of me. Downfall of that is, Pisces are all over the place. Sorry, Pisces, but you're kind of emotional. Super in depth and intuitive and spiritual. They're the most intuitive of the zodiac. They are the emotional healers. And it being in the house of the guru, I'm an emotional healer guru. Okay? It's in my chart. Listen to me. Okay? Listen up. But that can also maybe come with some spiritual ego or spiritual delusion. I'm not saying I'm a delusional person, but I can get pretty out there. My connection with the other side, can be really hard to explain. And I think that's kind of my pitfall that I have, is not being able to share it in a way that makes sense because I'm so in the clouds or so in the underworld when it comes to that stuff. But that feels like enough of that house. So 10th house. Oof, this is a spicy slice of house. This is a spicy slice of pizza, this house is. And it's 10th house, Aries. My moon and my Saturn is there. And it's opposing my Chiron and my north node. And so my south node is there too. Which, this is the fucked house. Because 10th house is public image, self-image, how you are walking about in your public life. And Saturn being there, Saturn is the daddy of the planets. It's the hard lessons giver, the giver of hard lessons. And my moon being there means I'm really fucking attached to the idea of how I show up in the public, which is absolutely correct. That has been my fucking downfall. And with Saturn being there, this is my Saturn return, is learning how to walk through life being a public figure, being in the public eye, or even having my own self-image. And how am I not going to attach my emotions to that? And this last year has been so fucking emotional because there's been this glass shattering of who I am. My self-image has shattered. The image of me being in the public, it's shattering because it's meant to be rebuilt through these hard lessons and alchemized into me finding my own self-worth without attaching my emotions externally. And Aries, you guys, what the fuck? Aries are the first ones off the boat. They're the ones with the fireheads, like, I'm going to go and do this, and it's going to be intense, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to be on my own. And it's me finding my own flavor, my own speech, my own self in this life. Like, what's shattered this last year has been the ideologies of other people that I have imprinted in myself, and I'm having to find my own through hard lessons. And last year I just put all my knowledge and faith into others, or I was realizing that I was, and I was like just recycling information. Not all of it, you guys. I'm making this dramatized so you can get an idea, but it's like I was trusting other people before my own intuition. And that's what shattered. And I am meant to find my own voice. This is a big own voice, my own messaging, and my own fucking gifts, and showing up in the public image, because this is saying you are meant to be seen in the public image. Your emotions are meant to be seen. Your alchemy is meant to be seen, how you are having these death and rebirths in this life. And you're also meant to be seen, and you're meant to lead. And this house has been this last year, and it looks like a fucking slice of pizza. Like, when you're looking at the astrology chart, it's a slice of pizza. So this is a very spicy slice of pizza, and it's a very magical house. And it reminded me I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and that these feelings and things that I'm experiencing are right on time. And that's one thing I fell in love with astrology, is because it showed me that I am not broken. I am right on time, because the feelings and the agony and the heartbreak I was facing internally was exactly what I was meant to experience. And it is going to be my medicine if I sit and allow it to happen. So astrology reminded me the shattering was right on time. And everything that was shattering was not meant to come with me into my next phase of life, which the next phase of life we could look at as the 11th house. This is another big house. There are a lot of toppings on this house. The 11th house is the house of technology, more so like a greater grand view of the public, like tech, social media. It's like a global house. And my sun being there, my Mercury being there, and my Mars being there, which, by the way, my sun and Mercury are right on fucking top of each other, which means I am meant to shine and be seen as this Taurus being while also speaking and using my voice. Mercury is the planet of communication. It is also in the sign of Taurus. It's a very mercurial sign, Taurus is. And Mars, too. Mars is your body, how you move. And so this could suggest, Mars and Taurus could suggest that you get lazy. Which I don't agree with that. I'm not actually lazy. But I can get lazy in my routines and in myself. I'm a very fucking active person. I love strength training. That's very Taurus. Like, get me on the mountain to hike or fucking give me some weights. That's how I work out. Or it could suggest, astrology is all a suggestion, but it's pretty accurate suggestion, that you can get lazy. And I can get lazy, or I can get fat. And it's opposing my Pluto in Sagittarius, which I was fat at one point when I was going through the death and rebirth of my ovaries. So there's that. But I wasn't being lazy. I was just being fat because my ovaries were dead. Or maybe you don't know, but that's what happened. So, okay, sun, I'm a shining star. Okay, I'm meant to be fucking seen for being a Taurus. Taurus love pleasure and luxury and nice things. And that is what I like, okay? I love nice things, and I am not ashamed of that. Give me a Prada bag. Give me the Range Rover I talk about in like every podcast. It's going to be red. That is very... I don't know. I would say that's second house Leo, like a red Range Rover, like dark red, not like the bright red, like the maroon red with the black rims. Inside, I don't know what that's gonna look like yet. I'm gonna leave that up to the universe, but it's gonna be nice as fuck. And I love nice things, and I'm not ashamed of that because I'm a Taurus. I am literally the most pleasurable signs of the zodiac. I love sensational things, and that's nice things. I love nice things. And this also suggests that I could get too obsessed with how my social groups look. That's literally what it suggests. Like, I am attached too much to the idea of what my social groups look like. I don't really relate to that. Maybe in high school, I wanted to be the cool, popular girl, which I was. And then that was my downfall. No, I was the weird kid who then got hot. So everyone wanted to be friends with me, but I was so weird. And then that led to a lot of misaligned opportunities. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I meant to speak in this life, you guys. I meant to never shut up. I meant to literally channel messages from God. That's pretty much what it says, okay? I am not God. I know that. I'm aware of that. But I meant to speak from, shit. I meant to speak from ethereal realm. And Mercury was in retrograde, which means I speak Mercury retrograde. So when you hear people talking about Mercury retrograde, be careful, don't sign contracts. It's like, wait, I'm fluent in that. I actually do well during retrograde because I was born in a retrograde, and maybe I'm more creative. Don't shade the retrograde. Learn your chart. So yeah, I'm a divine being and I'm meant to speak messages from God. So next, 12th house. We'll leave it at that. This is my favorite house. And it's so funny because I used to shit on Geminis all the time because they're just fun to shit on. And it's probably because I am very Gemini. You could say I'm Taurus, but I'm very Gemini. And I love that. Because here's a little astrology hack. Taurus's planet is Venus. Hello, the planet of pleasure and love and beauty. Okay, Taurus love beauty. We know that. My Venus is in the house of Gemini, 12th house. So we'll start with what 12th house is. 12th house is the house, originally Pisces, the house of the other realm. It's very mysterious. It is the house of delusions, you guys, and it's in the sign of Gemini. I'm like the most delusional person I've ever met in my life. If you could find a more delusional person than me, then good job to you. It makes sense why I wrote a poetry book on delusional ethereal love. Like, I am so goddamn delusional. And when it comes to my heart, it's like tenfold. And so Venus is the planet of relationships. And this is where my Venus is, you guys. So, and it's on the 27th degree, which means I've been Gemini in a lot of my life. So like I've very much heavy Gemini energy and I'm an expert in this house. I am an expert in delusional love. That's pretty much what it's saying. I love the story of the Gemini sisters where there's two sisters, they're twins, that's Gemini twins, and one chose to die to become immortal and one chose to stay mortal. And so you have this connection with the other realm. And it's in the house of the other realm. It's in the delusion house. It's in the dream house. So it's like, of course, I have this side where I can fucking channel. And I do have that. And I mean, everyone has that. I've just chosen to take that path in this life. And having my Venus there means 5D love is my language. Like, I am going to be channeling 5D love. And I wrote a fucking poetry book on 5D love, ethereal love, young, foolish heart. Like, this is a very poetic house. And it is my biggest gift in this life is delusion. So you could roast that for 12 hours. I mean, but it pretty much just says, I mean, I could talk more on it how, I mean, you know, I haven't had a lot of relationships because I'm living 10 feet above my head and romanticize fucking everything. This is the romantasy house. Like, I romanticize everything to the point that it just doesn't land. And that's kind of my downfall. And so if I was giving a reading to anyone and suggesting, it's like, where are you grounded in your love life? Like, you need to touch solid fucking ground. Like, yes, you can channel and have amazing, beautiful, deep 5D experiences with this love, but where are you losing yourself? And boy, have I lost myself in a lot of relationships that haven't even prospered. They just got so in my fucking head that I lived there. I lived in my head. And so I would suggest tapping is literally the first thing I would suggest, just getting in your body. And so when these thoughts start to race or you start to get delusional, it's like tap your body, like work through the emotion and land in your body. You gotta come back to earth. And this is probably why I connect so much with combo medicine, is because it puts me in my body, especially within my heart. And I can be so disconnected from my heart by being too much in my mind. And that's where the downfall is. And that's where things just don't. Okay, I'm looking at my chart right now. Yep, it's connected to my Saturn too. So a lot of hard lessons in the realm of love and delusion and your heart. And that's pretty much it, people. Really good work today, Taylor. Good job. I don't know, you guys. I just felt like saying that, but I have a solar chart, which means I'm meant to be seen in this life. And as you know, I am trying so hard to be seen, but the medicine is to be seen by myself. That is 10th house Saturn, Aries. And if this interested you into wanting to learn more about your own chart, hit me up, people. It is one of my most favorite gifts is to give astrology readings because I am reminding you who you are. It's all just to remember. You might learn some new things, but a lot of it is just confirmation of what you always felt. And it brings you back to this childlike wonder like, oh, you're right. I loved doing art as a kid. I loved meditating. I loved, spending time outside. You're right. I do really value communication in my relationships. It's just, there's so much garbage out there that can literally just create fake stories in our head about who we are. And astrology is here to remind you who you are. And that's why I became an astrologer, is to remind you of that childlike wonder you once had and to remember that you're not broken. You just are out of balance, or you just forgot who you are. If I look at this chart and I was like going to be a doctor, I would literally look at that person and be like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You are not good at math. Like, I can clearly see you live 10 feet above your head. You're really good at channeling, but to sit in a desk all day and become a doctor and like learn math is probably not your strong suit. Like, you need to probably get back into theater or do some creative things or go do hypnosis because you have ninth house Pisces. You probably like hypnosis. And the readings that I have given, again, people are just like, oh, like they take a breath because they're like, that is who I am. Why did I think I had to fit anyone else's box? No, astrology is reminding you of your own box. But it's a circle because it's an astrological wheel. So if this interests you, great. Hit me up. I would love to read your chart. You can go on my website, sadflowerswritten.com. I just if you want to read like what actually happens in a chart, it's pretty much this. I have other offerings on there. Send me a DM or write me a review. Why that would really get my attention is if you write me a review. I have like no reviews right now except 2, and one of them is from me. So I'd really appreciate that, and know that this is just one of my gifts and passions that I'm obsessed with. Yeah, all of these signs are within us. You are so much more than your sun sign. Sun, moon, rising are a great place to start, but you are all of these. Astrology teaches us that we are everything and all, and it's just mixed up differently in each one of us. And looking at your astrological wheel helps you unlock the many flavors and many taste of who you are in your life and how to take that and run. How to make it your masterpiece and how to create art from it. This is a great tool if you are wanting to be an artist of life. Okay, let's leave it at that. I had so much fun, and I hope you like me more and know that I am not fake when I am being loud and obnoxious. That's just who I am. Okay. Anyways, have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. I adore you all very much, and just go love yourself. Okay? Cliche, fucking shay, but it's what's coming through, and what's coming through is meant for you. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Okay, bye.